DeAndre Hopkins, you already know by now that he has been released. He is a free agent. He could join any team. Five-time Pro Bowler he is, but Cowboys owner, general manager Jerry Jones said it's unlikely they'd sign DeAndre Hopkins. And his son, Stephen Jones, added, quote, "We're pleased with our receiving group." Bring us on camera. Shady, I am going to start with what I am most frustrated about right here and right now. I'm most frustrated at the Dallas Cowboys for not putting their foot on the gas and going and taking what they haven't had the opportunity to take in the last 27 years, a Super Bowl appearance. The Super Bowl is more wide open this year in the NFC than it has ever been before. Yeah. The Green Bay Packers do not have Aaron Rodgers. The San Francisco 49ers do not have a quarterback. The Los Angeles Rams roster has been completely decimated. And the Philadelphia Eagles were dominant last year, but nobody has even won the NFC East 2 consecutive years in the last 20 years. So the NFC is wide open as it pertains to who could go to the Super Bowl. Cowboys. You've already been aggressive. You got Stephon Gilmore, former Defensive Player of the Year. You got Brandon Cooks, a 1,000-yard receiver 6 times with 3, count them up, different quarterbacks. Why not go for gold right here, right now? Shady, I'm so frustrated, in part because of something you experienced. Let's go the last 4 years Super Bowl champions. Last year, the champs. Chiefs, they added Kadarius Toney in the midst of the season. Though they had talent, they said, you know what, we're going to be even more aggressive and go get it. The year before, the Rams clearly had talent. But they said, you know what, we'll take Odell Beckham too. Mind you, they had Cooper Kupp, the best receiver in football that year. They also said Von Miller, oh, we'll go get him as well. The year before, Shady, you were there. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, we got Mike Evans, likely to be a Hall of Famer. We got Chris Godwin, solid player. We're going to go get Antonio Brown. Mind you, I'm not even going to talk about Rob Gronkowski or LeSean McCoy. Year before, Shady, you were there again. Now I will talk about you. Because the Chiefs were like, you know what? Our running game could use some help. We could use a veteran presence in the backfield. We're going to go acquire LeSean McCoy, coming off a 750 all-purpose season with the Buffalo Bills, see what he can add to our team. Fortune does not favor the bold. Fortune favors the aggressive. And the Cowboys, Shady, to me, are being way too passive if they want to go get what is easy for the taking. I think they're making a mistake passing on D-Hop. You've won 2 Super Bowls. You know what it takes. What do you say?
I disagree with you. And I hate to even talk about the Cowboys in a certain light, but I'm going to be honest. I think their wide receiver core is solid.
True.
If I looked at all the wide receiver groups in the league, they would be in that top 6 range, right? I think they have a all-pro #1 receiver, right, with CeeDee Lamb. And then you bring in Brandon Cooks, who's going to be a really good and productive #2 wide receiver. And then your third wide receiver who you paid money to. See, that's the twist right there. Because I can see maybe if Deepak came there, where would he fit in at, right? You could put him in a slot, you could put him outside, but he has that #1 type of talent, that #1 tag on him. And if you have 2 #1s and you add Brandon Cooks, right, then you have a paid Michael Gallup. How is that going to be? I always talk about when players go to different teams, I talk about the seats in that room.
Yep.
So if you got all these different chairs in the wide receiver room, one main chair is going to CeeDee Lamb.
Of course, as
but when a dude like D-Hop comes in there, he needs one of them chairs as a #1. So if I say the fit for the Cowboys, I don't see it there. And you know, D-Hop is a great player. I just think that he has to go to the right team where they're comfortable with getting a big-time player who's going to demand the ball. Like, if D-Hop goes there, he's not really getting utilized the way he should. It's like, why is he even here?
Let me ask you this, because, again, you've won 2 Super Bowls, and I don't know who on daily television can currently say that. Clearly, we have a few of them.
Especially back-to-back.
Back-to-back.
Come on now.
Let me put some respect. I apologize, Shady. I apologize. Your coach, Bruce Arians, my brother's former coach, Bruce Arians, he said when y'all acquired Antonio Brown, it's an insurance policy. He said if Chris Godwin is out, if Mike Evans is out, why not have another? We got good players, but you can't have enough of them. So why not take that same approach? They got CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
They got Michael Gallup. They got Brandon Cooks. But you can't have enough good players.
See, that's the difference. The Bucs, we had no #3. Where the Cowboys, they have a #3. And they expect Michael Gallup to even have a bigger year.
Correct.
He has a healthy, full offseason. And they pay them money. I just look at the scenarios, and I look at this scenario, it's a lot different from other teams because they have their wide receivers in place, right? To add on the hop, now you got to add on another couple of passes. And are we sure the Cowboys want to throw the ball more? I mean, their head coach, Mike McCarthy said, hey, He's taking over the offensive responsibilities. He wants to run the ball even more than throw it. So why bring in a guy like D-Hop who wants the ball?
Very well said. Joy, where are you at on this? Cowboys making a mistake.
D-Hop could be the difference maker for a team that is trying to win a Super Bowl, but I don't think it's with the Cowboys. I don't think they're making a mistake at all. And that's pretty rare for me to say when it comes to the Cowboys. It's just not a position of need. It's not. You have an all-pro wide receiver. Hard to do. There's not a lot of those. You have a full receiving room and a certified #1 receiver. To Shady's point, how much throwing of the ball do you want to do? Do we want to run the ball at all? There's only so many downs.
Right.
It can't be throwing the ball every single down, and he's going to need some production. That's a lot of balls that need to be thrown around between Gallup and CD and D-Hop. It's a lot. So I'm missing one as I'm saying it. They have a full wide receiver room. Cooks, yes.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks,
Yeah, that's how many times you want to throw the ball through the game. You want to run the ball. You have a solid running game, too. Dak struggled a little bit with some interceptions last year. You might want to balance the offense out. So I just don't think it's shade to D-Hop. This is just not, of all the places that could use his skills and put them over the edge, the Cowboys is just not a place that comes into mind.
And you said, real quick, you said the Chiefs, they didn't have no real #1 receiver.
Not at all.
They didn't even have one.
Not at all.
Right? Juju was the best. Juju was the best. Yeah, come on. So they had to go get a #1 receiver.
I'm really, though, Shady, thinking about, you can never have enough good things, particularly if you can afford it.
Well,
that's really
can
you have too much? Can you have too much, though?
I don't think you can, but you know, you were there.
Because
so I will not talk over you.
Antonio Brown wasn't that expensive.
He wasn't.
And another thing about AB, when I was there with him, when we brought AB on, before he signed any contract, I don't care what Tom Brady said, there was an agreement. Look, we're going to have Mike Evans going out here.
Right.
We're going to have Chris Godwin, listen, and then we're going to slowly bring you in as the third guy.
Right.
We don't want Antonio Brown from the 1,600 yards.
Right.
That all. We don't want him. We want a guy that can contribute, right, at a nice pace, no distractions, and we want these two guys to go. Compared to D-Hop. D-Hop is still active, right? He had no issues. You know, he had some injuries, but he had no issues. And he's still a good player. It's a difference.
So in your mind, Shady, it's not as much about the talent as it is the struggle of name, the struggle of aura, the struggle of presence for D-Hop being.
It's a team, right? You can have all these names all you want. It's a team. It's a machine. It has to run well. It has to run smooth. And when you put too many alphas, right? Because come on, D-Hop is still a #1.
All day.
Right?
In his mind at minimum.
And then another thing is CD Lamb is a young #1.
Yep.
He's going to grow. It's the reason why they shipped off Amari Cooper. Because, hey, he's really good, but we got this young guy we drafted in the first round. We think he's going to be a #1 receiver. Let's let him have the floor. You don't want to mess up the chemistry by bringing in a big-time name like D-Hop.
Are we sure he's a #1?
And his mind.
D-Hop, no. D-Hop's #1. Talking about D-Hop?
Like right now?
I think he's #1.
We had an NFL executive, anonymous NFL executive, sources, who said he doesn't get the same separation. And I think all of us have assumed that his falling off the last couple of years has been because of injury and because of Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals more than D-Hop. But the fact that nobody's jumping out there to get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins gives me pause and makes me wonder, are they seeing something on film that makes them question whether he's still the same guy? I'm with you in that the Cowboys are making a mistake.
Oh, see that move? God thanks.
I'm just not convinced that the Cowboys are making a mistake on D-Hop. I believe they should be going for it because the opportunity is there. But this is my overarching issue with the Cowboys and how we treat them. In part because Jerry Jones is always talking about, I want to go get another Super Bowl, right? But does he break the bank to go get the Super Bowl? I always feel like the Cowboys talk big and spend. They're always still checking the bottom line. They're always being economical. They're not economical with their words and their goals. But in terms of their resources and what they're willing to spend, they're always measuring. And I'm 100% with you. They should be going for broke right now if there's ever a time, because the NFC is wide open.
Wide open.
Right?
It's wide open.
But when was the last time we felt like they were doing what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did?
Agreed. So, Joy, that's my issue. And we don't even have to talk about the Bucs. Let's talk about a team favorite of the show, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
The Eagles had a stacked defensive line last year. But what did they do? They drafted Jordan Davis in the first round. Didn't need to do that. They had Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox. And in the middle of the season, they acquired Robert Quinn from the Chicago Bears when they already had sacks upon sacks upon sacks. Now, Quinn did not end up being the player we thought he was going to be.
Right.
But Quinn had an 18-sack season he was recently coming off of. In the midst of that season, the Eagles were like, oh, Bradbury, you're free? We'll take you from the Giants. Like the Eagles, Howie Roseman, even the year they won the Super Bowl, had Darren Sproles prior to him being hurt, Corey Clement, LeGarrette Blount. Jay Ajayi, you're balling for the Miami Dolphins. Don't mind if we do. So I think, and we've seen that favor the Philadelphia Eagles, just an uber amount of aggression.
First of all, Joey said it best. Cheap. Joey,
Jay Ajayi?
Yep. Cheap.
Yep.
Robert Quinn.
Cheap.
Right? And another thing, not only is it the price tag, which matters, like Joey talked about, but also needs. If I say the Cowboys team, right? What position do they need? You're not going to say wide receiver.
Not at all.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep, I agree with you hard.
You talked about Bradbury. The Eagles, we needed a corner.
No.
Even depth. We had no depth. Even though our defensive front for the Eagles was doing really well, we didn't have no depth. We had to add depth. And they were older. You know how this game goes. Acho, Fletcher Cox, is he going to play another year? With us. Every year he's on the bubble, and that's my boy, but, we talk about it. He's on the bubble. Let's bring in a younger guy from Georgia.
Yep.
Brandon Graham, older DN. Still look productive, but he's getting older. Is he playing this next year? Let's bring another DN. So it's all about, I think, is just the price tag, like Joey talked about, and also what's the needs are.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.